Oh boy, a new video and it's an iceberg. I remember saying I wanted to make one a while back, but, you know how that goes. Shit went south so fast. Anyway, what's so different today about this one though is I'm literally gonna make this one, and it's about Endgame. Anyway, let me set the ground rules about this iceberg. Since there's literally no endgame within Warframe, we will have to use the closest examples of endgame, like the time-gated garbage known as EDA, sorties which nobody touches due to how irrelevant it is, and arbitrations. Even though it's mid-game slop trash. Back on subject though, I will discuss stuff that is considered endgame, or was once considered endgame at a time. I will discuss how it functioned, what people did in it, etc. You know how an iceberg works. Anyway, let's get right into the iceberg. Sorties were introduced in December of 2015. Sorties consist of 3 unique missions that have different modifiers within the said missions. Sorties are on a weekly time gate and can only be done once for rewards from a loot pool that should be shown on screen. At one point in the game, sorties were considered difficult. But due to the immense power creep in the enemies consisting of the laughable level 50 to 100, in the current day, it was destined to become irrelevant. And the loot pool is only worth due to legendary cores. The rest of it as well, kind of lackluster nowadays. Especially the 4K Endo. Railjack gives me more than that lol. Arbitrations were released in 2018, and used to be unlocked through completing all missions in the base star chart. However, it has recently changed and is now unlocked via the Year's Junction. Arbitrations are an alert-based missions that refresh every hour. They consist of these game modes which should be displayed on screen. Along with that, these game modes have unique modifiers within them to, I guess, spice up the game modes, which are some of the most unfun things in the world lol. These missions also have an RB limited enemy that drops Vitus Essence. With this currency you can buy stuff from the arbitration store and get more mid, and really good mods, as well as a really situational mod too if that tickles your fancy. Arbitrations aren't really endgame anymore and are more mid-game slop. The only difficulty about this game mode is, if you die, you drop dead permanently until your teammates revive you or you fail the mission. Honestly, just do these for Endo lol. The statues dropped by the mission and store are pretty alright. Next section though. Fashion frame. Fashion frame is a highly subjective form of endgame within Warframe. I personally think it's a lot of BS, but some people genuinely take it seriously. Fashion frame is literally in the name and is just making your frame in different ways and styles, as your endgame. Technically it's forever replayable, but it's for sure not my cup of tea lol. Anyway, do it, or don't do this lame endgame excuse. Archon hunts are considered an endgame activity only due to them being locked behind multiple long quests, and even more time-gated slop. So, they aren't really all that hard, but, for your average Warframe bot, they're pretty difficult. Archon hunts are a 3-stage mission that was released in September of 2022. The enemies here have an empowerment buff, but we all know this is false as they are still but easy to kill in my honest opinion. Other than having that, the missions evolve around 3 Archon bosses. You would know the names if you played New War, and the enemies are part of the Namer faction, which means they have no bang mods that apply to them, as well as having sentience in these missions too. Are these fun? Not really, and you can even farm it due to the fact it's on a weekly time gained. And the 3 bosses are not hard if you know the bare minimum about sentience. Since this is a 3-stage mission, these also have the same reward pool mechanic. It should be shown on screen. Other than having the standard pool, there's another reward that is very valuable from here, Archon shards. These shards also came with the release of the update there, and it allow you to gain small bonuses for your Warframe via helmet. This is one of the only reasons to do this other than the loot pool lol. Also, it drops a better version of these shards known as Forged. Meta is just a term people use to describe what's good and the most efficient weapon, frame, etc. Anything that helps you clear said endgame content fast, including endurance content and the barebones content that it considers endgame for some reason. Layer 1 is done, yay! Layer 2 is still endgame content, but stuff that you may or may not have heard of, or played. Let's get to it. Frames. This refers to the warframes that can go invisible. These frames are extremely desirable for anything in-game or endurance-based, due to them being basically immortal due to being undetectable since the warframe AI is so basic. They won't react if you're literally touching them invisible or shooting at them while invisible. To add, the majority of the invisible frames are pretty good weapon platforms, so, even more reason to run them. Prophet Taker / Orb Mother. This refers to Fortuna exclusive bosses that are unlocked after achieving rank 5 Fortuna standing with Deco. The reason people may farm this boss is probably due to the challenge, unless of course you completely speedrun and are stupidly efficient in running the Orb Mothers. Anyway, the Prophet Taker is genuinely challenging and far more rewarding. The Orb Mother, however, consists of just keeping adds away and dropping more Fortuna-based resources after defeating it. Personally, farming Prophet Taker is better due to it dropping 250k credits. It's even more boosted with chroma and event credit boosters during Thermia fractures, and with all the power creep and low-key busted warframes for Orb Mother, this activity has been trivialized to all hell, so farming either orb wouldn't be all too bad. Definitely not my type of endgame, however. Also, they drop towards used and standing for a little duck. Netrocells. Oh boy, Netrocells are an activity based in the Sanctum, and consist of the Murmur faction within them. This content was released when the Whispers in the Wall update was released. This was an in-game activity as many larped about, but it's stupidly easy. Level 220 to 240 enemies are not hard. Also, this game mode has the same buffs given to the enemies like the Archon hunts. So, they're also empowered. Which again, is a fat fucking lie. Now, the actual game mode consists of you seeking out the Netrocell, which is marked on the map, and there are consoles that assist you in finding them. You will basically always have to hack these, by the way, and they are so far apart, so already this is a slog. Also, you have debuffs that you need to equip, if you're in solo. You will have to equip all 4 and suffer, so that's fun. When you eventually do get to the Netrocell, it will consist of the most in-game thing in the world. Killing stuff in a circle, awesome. The rewards will be shown on screen after it, and the only mechanic stopping you from bum rushing the killing is how far they spawn in the Kermites, which will spawn in at specific percentages to halt your progress. Also, if you think you can farm this, you're wrong. You will have 5 charges for this mission for a week lol. What a mid-activity! Endurance. Endurance is a term used by people who stay in endless missions for long periods of time. These missions have rewards which are given in a timely manner. Most endless missions are stupidly inefficient to run for endurance and leave a handful of missions available to be used for this. Survival sure as hell is not one of them, but unfortunately people still use it. Endurance frames. Endurance frames are just frames that can be used in these long missions. Saren, for example, is wonderful for many endurance missions due to how fast she can kill stuff and how easy it is for her to shield gate damage. Endless frames and Saren, Revenant, anybody with good survivability will be useful in these. Shield gating. Shield gating is in the name. This is a mechanic which allows you to become immune to all forms of damage in the game when your shields fully break. People have used a corrupted Void Dragon key to do this more efficiently, but this later became a mod. You can only really shield gate through these things, that should be shown on screen now. Please shield gate, it's really good and isn't hard. Lich / Sister, this isn't even considered an endgame anymore since they nerfed the living shit out of their HP and squishiness. You summon a Sister Lich or Coda through a mission and either killing a specific enemy, completing a mission in 1999 and doing a specific terminal, or going into Parvo's Grandam's Hand Dimension and killing 25 specters to summon the candidate. These enemies will appear after you consistently do their mission nodes claimed by them as seen on screen, and usually come with a weapon in their hand, not including Kodas. You have to buy them with a specific annoying currency anyway. Ignoring that, you can get rewards from killing them with Requiem mods for Sister and Liches and antivirus mods for Code Liches. Most of the weapons you get from these are good and have an innate element with them depending on the warframe you use on them. However, they're the least challenging thing in this game honestly, and are barely an in-game activity. Plus you need to guess the order for the Requiem / antivirus mods if you want to advance the fight to Railjack, which is just some Railjack and then you actually kill them. To these to excess if you enjoy them, personally not my endgame. Layer 2 is finally done! Yay! Sorry this isn't a thick iceberg. Warframes Endgame just isn't there for me to really cram stuff in, but here's where stuff will be a little more obscure. Scary, I know! Survival Endurance. I fucking hate this game mode. Survival Endurance was one of the only missions in the game for a very long time you could go to level cap with. Unfortunately there are so many issues with just using any survival mission like that. Especially the corpus one's lacking amount of enemies, boredom, shitty timely rewards. You were basically forced to do a survival level cap in the void or when fissures were up, so you can literally have any success within these sorry ass missions to even get to level cap. And, to add to that, you need to pour such an insane time sink into these missions just to get to any enemies considerably hard. Well now, moving on. Xenostar. This weapon was the go-to weapon for level cap content back in the day, when survival was the only spot for stuff like that. The Xenostar was one of the best weapons for this due to one reason: the heavy attack sending out a disc which obliterated enemies, and back then for some reason, had so much range, it could nuke rooms. Perfect for the stationary playstyle you were forced to partake in during long level cap runs in survival. Mix it with a good frame, perfect for staying still, and you have your meta set up. Nowadays though, melee is still pretty goated, but the years have not been kind to the Xenostar. It has drastically fallen off and requires a huge amount of investment to be good nowadays. Void Key. Void Keys were an item that granted access to the Void, as back in early Warframe Void was the actual endgame. Before they let that go completely and made the game shit, thanks Rebecca. Anyway, Void Keys were ranked in different tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4. The biggest number is the hardest one, by the way. Anyway, to describe the inner workings of this endgame, you would need at least one person within your squad to have a Void Key. It will start the mission. Now when you do these said missions at the time, level 40 enemies were incredibly hard with a limited frames. The reason people did this was due to it being the only way to get prime parts. However, you could not select what you wanted. It was given in a timely manner for as long as you could survive. So, all the missions you see in the current Void were the missions that were available to them. Defense and survival were the most optimal, since you could keep going and gaining prime parts and face what at the time was an actual endgame. Personally, I'd love it if these came back, maybe tuned to players like me who like endurance and level cap. Oh well, since we have Rebecca who will forever cater to bots, we will probably never see this come back or the addition of in-game lol. Circuit level cap. Circuit level cap is when you do level cap within the game mode circuit. This level cap is in a way harder and easier to do, since decrees are basically the easiest way to gain free buffs that will make the run stupidly easy. The thing making this game mode annoying to do level cap in, however, is the random loadouts given to you, a big complaint in general with anything Derviary related. Honestly, the rewards in this are just Derviary resources in that whole circuit path. But, unless you want to get the extra rewards from the circuit reward system, don't do level cap here. Do it elsewhere. Void Cascade level cap. Void Cascade level cap is the holy grail of level cap. It's basically the golden goose of in-game and Warframe. Repeatable mission that's never locked, great scaling, as well as challenging enemies and objective. I'm gonna assume you already know how it works, so you could probably guess why I'm glazing this mission so much. Most people wouldn't do level cap here since the enemy scaling is so fast, but it is so rewarding and worth the challenge. Also really good to stress test your operators and etc. Conclave. Conclave is Warframe's version of Crucible from Destiny 2. It's an attempt from when Steve was creative lead, to make PvP within Warframe. You can probably guess what an unbalanced mess this is. Rather quickly, people dropped this game mode and considered it literally unplayable. Now, how can an unplayable mess be endgame? Well, people do no life this game mode. In small amounts, people even host small conclave events within servers to get enough people to play. The rewards within this are most of the mods you get from it work only in conclave, so basically, do this if you're no life for this kind of stuff and want to do it forever lol. At least it's got a cool Sedana. Orbiter decoration, ugly, just like a fashion frame. People for some reason take it really seriously. As in the name, people get a sense of endgame by styling their orbiter constantly. Now I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty cool to see some of their orbiters, but how can people enjoy it so much as to be an endgame? Not too sure personally. Regardless, I don't mind them. You do you. There is no endgame, obviously there's no endgame. A lot of people have said Warframe cannot have an endgame, even though many times in Warframe's history they have literally had it before. Void keys, eidolon hunts maybe, raids? They've done stuff like this before without needing to add shitty modifiers which add the most artificial difficulty known to man. Well, that's the iceberg. I'm gonna be honest, it took me forever, and since this is my first iceberg, it unfortunately wasn't the best it could be. If you did watch to the end though, please subscribe. My goal is to hit 100 subs sometime in the future, and it'd mean a lot if you did that honestly. The next video will be something. I'm thinking of what it'll be about, hopefully it'll be out soon. Haha. Anyway, have a good one, or don't, the choice is yours.
You walk away, you don't hear